Hey, I wanted to make a little video about trust. Because, if you're like me, uh, you've had to learn a lot of hard lessons um, about how to figure out whether or not somebody is trustworthy or not. And a lot of those lessons uh, I would have liked to have avoided. So if any advice that I have to pass along can help someone else avoid some of the pitfalls and mistakes that I've made, um, then this video is a success. Anyhow, so um, if you have a hard time being able to decipher whether or not to trust somebody, how do you figure out how to do that? It's because it feels like one of those catch-22 things. Um, what to where, like, if you could do that, then you wouldn't need to ask the question or advice in the first place, right? So I think this is the simplest and most effective way to learn how to be able to tell if somebody's trustworthy or not. Pay attention to their actions. And this is the reason why people talk a lot, but oftentimes the more immature they are, the more of a discrepancy there is between what they say and what they do. And if you pay attention to their actions will never lie. Their actions will never lie. You pay attention long enough, and you will see what's real and what's not. The difference between their behavior and the shit that comes out of their mouth. And healthy people, it's congruent with healthy people. I think that's the right word. And it's consistent. And healthy people, when they speak, they'll be coming from a place of truth, and the truth always sounds the same. You may not be able to know if someone's lying to themselves or others or to you, but you always know when they're telling the truth because the truth always feels the same. And if you don't feel that grain of truth, like if you're not if you don't have the insight or the ability or the skills to be able to tell if they're lying per se, here's a little hint. Like or here's the thing, is that like is that if it doesn't feel true, then it probably isn't. Trust your gut. If you don't have a lot of practice trusting your gut, err on the side of caution, and always go with something if it's a sure bet. Here's a couple other things. Here's a couple other pieces of advice. If you have to ask, then you probably already know the answer. Like if something's inherently a good idea, I never have to ask anybody if it's a good idea. But if I have to ask somebody if something's a good idea or not, it probably isn't. And what else? Is there anything else I can think of? Oh, and if it's a good idea today, it'll still be a good idea tomorrow. Like, I don't have to make any decisions right now. Not being able to trust oneself kind of goes hand in hand with like not having very good boundaries or not being able to say no. And so I just want to also plug that that no one is entitled to or no one is required to answer right now. Like you're entitled to uh, think about something for a little bit. You're entitled to get back to people. You're entitled to take the time you need to make up your mind. Um, so this is where time is a helpful tool. Um, so yeah, that's those are a couple of my 2 cents. Some of my thoughts on lying. Um, and or and trust, learning how to learning how to figure out if someone's trustworthy or not. Oh, one last thing is that denial, justification, and rationalization, they all feel the same too. Those all feel the same, and that the better I got at being able to learn how to tell the truth for myself, also helped me be able to be able to see if someone else is telling the truth. And I've gotten real good to where I can hear people lying to themselves, and I know they're completely oblivious to the fact that they're even lying to themselves. And so it's a skill that anyone can develop. And if I can do it, you can too. Because I grew up, I grew up naive and kind of sheltered, and I had to learn a lot of things the hard way, and I wasn't good at um, I wasn't good at reading things, and there's a lot of hurdles and obstacles I've had to overcome. So if I can perceive it, um, if I can have gotten to a place where I can perceive things, then you can too. It's totally doable. So um, that's that.